Hello, welcome to my Let's Play of King's Quest VI. I was watching Day9 over on his channel play it on his Mostly Walking series. Brought back memories. I used to play these games as a kid. I don't think I ever played King's Quest VI as a kid. But, let's check it out. I am playing the GOG version, which has voice acting. So I'll be reading any of the text that appears. It doesn't have voices, but most of it does. Let's watch the opening cutscene. Long ago, in the castle of a kingdom called Daventry.
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Despite his family's concern, Alexander remains tormented by the thoughts of Cosima. Look at these fancy 3D graphics.
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here.
Cosima! Wait! Mother! Mother, come quick!
Alexander, what on earth? You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
In the mirror? The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
3 long months, Prince Alexander sailed for known seas. It'd be pretty badass to see some stars out of somebody's window and be like, oh, I know where that is. I'm gonna go travel there.
Land ho! Land ho! Land ho!
Hours pass. As the ship nears the shore, days turn to night and the sea turns violent. No. King's Quest. Roberta Williams and Jane Jensen.
Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here.
Too
Then
dazed.
he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave picked him up and tossed him overboard into the churning sea. That was the last he'd seen of his crew. Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made their way safely back to Daventry.
I like how the game's just like, well, your men probably made it back to Daventry, so don't worry about them. They're in lifeboats. It's fine. We're going to save this game since it loves to kill you. We're also going to look at about. Let's check out this. King's Quest 1, Quest for the Crown. Long ago in the Kingdom of Daventry, there were 3 magical treasures that kept the kingdom strong and prosperous. A magic mirror foretold the future, enchanted shield with the power to protect from any invaders, and a treasure chest that was never empty. These treasures were taken from Daventry by deception and stealth. And without them, Daventry grew poor and weak. King Edward, once a stout-hearted and vigorous ruler, became powerless and sickly. Edward had no heir, and everyone feared the chaos would result from his death. King Edward asked his bravest knight, Sir Graham, to embark upon a quest to recover these 3 treasures. Despite many challenges, Graham's quest was successful. As his reward, King Edward named Sir Graham his heir and granted him the throne of Daventry. Thus began the reign of King Graham of Daventry. King's Quest 2, Romancing the Throne. King Graham was a wise and kindly monarch. With his great wisdom, the return of the 3 treasures, Daventry prospered once more, but Graham knew he must marry soon and establish his own royal line and heir to the throne. The handsome young king searched for far and wide, but No maiden captured his eye nor his longing heart. Then one day King Graham saw in his magic mirror a vision of a lovely young woman held prisoner in a quartz tower. Captive maiden was named Valanice, a girl both beautiful and wise. She was stolen from her home, taken to a far land. Graham vowed to find her and set her free. After a long journey and many trials, he did just that. Graham asked Valanice to be his queen. She agreed. Thus began the royal family of King Graham and Queen Valanice of Daventry. Queen Valanice and King Graham soon became parents of twins, a son and a daughter named Alexander and Rosella. Life at Daventry was peaceful for a time, but young Prince was stolen from his cradle, and the kingdom went into years of deep mourning. In a land far away, an evil and powerful wizard named Mananan. It was his wont to kidnap infant boys and raise them as his slaves. Before his slaves are full grown, he could pose a threat to the wizard's dominance. Mananan ridded himself of each in turn. However, Mananan's most recent vassal, the boy he called Gwydion, was unusually bright and perceptive. He mastered several wizard spells, turned them against the tyrant to gain his freedom. Gwydion was, of course, the kidnapped Prince Alexander. This is a good game. I played this one a while back. I played King's Quest 1 and I think 2, 3. After escaping Mananan, Alexander's travels brought him to Daventry. Not the lovely and peaceful Daventry of days gone by, but a land devastated by a terrible affliction. The kingdom had fallen victim to the ravages of a dreadful three-headed dragon. The beast had burned the land all around and killed many people. Alexander was able to use his newfound magical powers to destroy the dragon and rescue the intended victim, none other than Princess Rosella, his sister, from its lair. He was taken before King Graham and Queen Valanice, and the happy family was reunited. Daventry rejoiced and prospered once more. King's Quest 4: Perils of Rosella. Shortly after Prince Alexander's return, King Graham's health began to fail. The royal physicians were powerless to help him. Only a magical fruit from the faraway land of Tamir could bring about a cure and restore the health of the Daventry's beloved monarch. Graham's daughter, Princess Rosella, set off in pursuit of the healing magic for her father. On her journey, she performed many a brave deed and had many great adventures. Princess Rosella's astounding success as an adventurer saved her father's life and ensured the kingdom continued to well-being once more. King's Quest V: Absence makes the hunt go yonder, but Daventry's fortune was not to continue unchallenged. An evil wizard named Mordak, brother of the ill-fated Mananan, was plotting revenge on the royal family. One day, while King Graham was out for a swim, Mordak used his evil magic to kidnap Valanice, Alexander, and Rosella, along with the entire castle of Daventry. Heartbroken and driven, King Graham resumed his adventurer's cap once more in a quest to rescue his family from the dread wizard's grasp. After traveling far and being sorely tested, King Graham thwarted Mordak's plans and rescued his entire family. In the process, Graham also released a stolen Princess Cassima from her bondage in Mordak's castle and sent her back home to the land of the Green Isles. But not, that is, before Prince Alexander had become thoroughly and permanently smitten. So that's why he's obsessed with this girl. King's Quest VI: Heir Today, Gone Tomorrow. Story of Prince Alexander's quest to woo Princess Cassima in the land of the Green Isle. This is a tale of true love and brave challenges, and is proudly presented for your enjoyment by Roberta Williams and the King's Quest team. And a whole bunch of people worked on it. Very good.
Alexander has no wish. Alexander's royal insignia ring lies abandoned on the sand. It must have slipped from his finger during the shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not lost in the sea.
I like how there's like so much goofy dialogue.
The remains of Alexander's sailing ship lie dashed upon the distant shore. The ocean appears calm, but there's a dimpling pattern to the surface which indicates an undertow. Rocks abound on this lush volcanic isle. No one remains aboard the broken vessel. The currents continue to murmur, but they do not reply to Alexander. The rocks are silent, as they have been for ages untold. Calling down the path is pointless. The sand does not reply. The ring in the sand cannot talk.
I like how much goofy dialogue there is.
Alexander picks up his royal insignia ring from the beach. The sand is warmed. Alexander pushes the plank to one side. A box has been partially buried under sand. Alexander's treasure box lies partially buried in the sand. It must have washed ashore with the other ship debris. Money may indeed talk, but the treasure box can't. There's a copper coin in the treasure box. The coin bears the seal of Daventry and Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruined box where it is.
1 coin. Nice.
Alexander examines the tree's hollow, but finds nothing of interest. A hollow in the trunk of the old tree forms a perfect nesting place for wildlife.
In King's Quest 1, there was a tree that had a hole in it, and that was like one of the big things.
Alexander has no need to carry around large rocks. The path the rocks are silent.
Hello? Is anyone in there?
There is no reply from the hollow in the tree. The old tree must have witnessed many intrigues and many tragedies, but it keeps its stories to itself. Whatever inhabitants might live, an old beggar is peddling his wares in the village. He offers a variety of lamps, all neatly lined up on a long pole.
Old lamps for new. Old lamps for new.
Alexander has not been invited to pick the family's roses. There's a young girl in the yard. The girl is dressed in a long, plain orange robe with a thick headdress. From the appearance of her clothes and from a skittish, fearful look about her, Alexander gets the strong impression that she is a servant, or even worse, a slave. The serving girl appears to be stealing a quiet moment tending the rose bushes. The entrance to the house is a time-worn wooden door. The house is made of stucco in an architectural style native to the island. It is apparently quite old, since climbing vines embrace its exterior.
You lazy thing! Get back to work and stay away from those roses! I've told you 1,000,000 times, those flowers are too sweet for the likes of you! You've still got to do the breakfast dishes, make lunch, and clean the stables yet this morning! And get your veil back on! No one wants to look at your face!
Yes, stepmother.
Nobody wants to look at your face.
Good day. The pawn shop owner is a mysterious fellow. His face is old and inscrutable, and there's a glint of sheer iron in his gaze. Still, Alexander senses this is someone he can trust. Towering mightily over the other pawn shop curiosities, the stuffed bear makes an ostentatious display. The back wall of the shop holds various odds and ends. For example, a hull hole detector for finding those hard-to-spot holes in small sailboats. The back wall of the shop holds various bottles and potions. For example, a bottle labeled Owl Courage Potion for spineless owls.
I wonder if it says different dolly every time.
Cat Cookie Mix. Play tricks on your friends, the box says. A Golden Bridle Finder for finding those nearly invisible golden bridles. Self-adhesive emeralds, what you use when you don't have honey. Tongue climbing gear, tested on over 100 whale tongues.
That's another reference to an older game where you had to climb a whale tongue.
A uvula tickler, guaranteed to make large mammals sneeze. A cheese hook for retrieving cheese out of small holes. A shovel that's guaranteed not to break for over 100 grave diggings. A bridge repair kit for when you've crossed a bridge one too many times. Stair traction pads. Stop slipping off those narrow staircases. A hull hole detector. A bottle of Gnome Begone. Miniature carpet cleaner for those castles in a bottle. Bird's nest soup mix, treasure not included. Garlic, especially grown for vampire resilience. Magic mirror glass cleaner for when your future looks fuzzy. Shark repellent. A small box of enchanted sorcerer's flea and tick collars. A bottle of Gnome Begone. The pawn shop's counter is made of a sturdy teak. The wood is well worn by eager hands and well oiled by the shop's faithful keeper. A few well-aged barrels probably hold assorted smaller goods and perishables. The pawn shop is a dimly lit place with a slightly musty smell. Curiosities litter every corner and every shelf. For sale are articles that range from the bizarre to the commonplace, from the priceless to the practical. The man of steel wields a long iron pike. A strange-looking winged device occupies one corner of the room. It is frail with disuse. Alexander finds it intriguing. Perhaps he thinks it was once used in a local sporting event in which enthusiasts jumped from cliffs, glided on air currents, and then attempted to land, frequently crunching a bone or two in the process. A horn, probably used for drink or powder, hangs from the ceiling. Small windows allow in a bare amount of illumination, giving the light in a shop a diffused glow. A worn leather wineskin is suspended from the ceiling. The land of the Green Isles must have at least one inhabitant with interest in the mystical, for a crystal ball has been traded in along with the more common household goods. Alexander will know his future soon enough if he just keeps on with his adventure. It wouldn't be fair to peek. Alexander prefers to keep his leather jerkins firmly on the ground.
There's so much dialogue in this game.
If Alexander wants anything from the pawn shop, he'll have to first give the pawn shop owner something in trade. Perhaps it is true that our ancestors were smaller as a rule, for that suit of armor looks a pinch too tight to fit Alexander. Besides, in this climate it would be awfully hot. The stuffed bear probably has stuffed fleas. Alexander decides to keep his distance. If Alexander wants anything from the pawn shop, the crystal ball remains perfectly clear and says nothing. The world-famous talking bear has been sulking ever since his abduction from a small mountain community in California. He refuses to discuss real estate. The wings have long been silent. The horn has plenty of nothing to say. The dusty shop remains peacefully quiet. The dusty shop remains... The man of steel is stumped for an answer. The dusty shop He's speechless. A tall skeleton lends an air of mystery to the shop. Alexander already has a skeleton. A helmet, probably belonging to the headless armor also in the shop, has found its way to a separate part of the counter. The dusty shop remains The dusty shop...
Good day, merchant. Can you tell me what land this is?
By the moon's light, what a question! You must have been out too long in the sun, or perhaps knocked your head upon a rock.
No. Well, perhaps. I was in a shipwreck, you see. My crew and I were trying to reach the land of the Green Isles. I think, well, at least I hope, my men got away safely in the lifeboats. But I myself appear to be rather stuck here.
Ah, I see. You must pardon my incredulity, but it has been so long since we have had a foreign visitor. You wrecked your ship, young traveler, due to the currents and reefs around the islands. If your crew was wise enough to steer clear of the isles and head home, they should be fine.
Yeah,
In any case, you have met your objective, however bumpy the journey.
You mean, this is the land of the Green Isles? Oh, thank the heavens! I had followed the stars, you see, and I thought I was close, but...
The stars? You must be quite a sailor. But what is the purpose of your visit?
I come for... Well, I mean, I hope to see... I met some time ago.
Say no more. You are smitten with a maiden, are you not? What other than love could so confuse a man's tongue?
I am afraid so. It is Princess Cassima.
By the desert sands, when you fall in love, you do not mess around, do you?
Is she here?
This is the Isle of the Crown, young man. The castle of the Crown stands on the hill. If it is Cassima you seek, that is where to look.
The Castle of the Crown. Thank you, merchant.
And good luck to you, lad. You shall need it.
Good day, merchant. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I can tell you she is in a dark time. Without the ferry, communication between the islands has ground to a halt, and so nearly has my business. Why the long ages of peace have ended, and why the Crown has not done something about it is beyond me. But then, I am a shopkeeper, not a politician, and can only hope for better days.
How bide you, good merchant?
Quite well, though a purchase would not hurt me any.
Alexander takes a mint.
I took a mint.
Help yourself. That is what they're there for.
So dumb.
The small green mint looks very tasty. That object has nothing to say. Alexander is carrying a copper coin of Devonry. King Graham graces the front of the coin. Alexander's ring is made of the purest gold and has... The counter feels as smooth as the pawn shop. Alexander takes a closer look at the items on the counter.
I see you have noticed my mechanical nightingale. She is made of plain tin, but she sings the sweetest song you can imagine, barely distinguishable from the real thing. Have you an interest in tinder boxes? This one is only slightly battered. It holds a good supply of flint, a sturdy striking pad, and even a candle in case you find yourself with naught else to hold the flame. The flute is only made of plain wood, but its notes are fine and true. Ah, yes, the painter's brush. It was well used by one of the island's best painters. There's a lot of creativity in that brush, and its bristles are still in good condition.
I'm interested in that mechanical nightingale on the counter.
What do you desire to give me in trade? The items on the front counter are all of equally slight value, worth only a copper or two. They are handy items nonetheless.
I have this copper coin. Is it of any value to you at all?
Most interesting. I have never seen a Daventry coin before, but it is copper genuine enough. I might even find a buyer who is interested in foreign currency. The items on the front counter are the only things in the store that I can let go for the price of 1 copper. You may make your choice from there.
Alexander looks at the items on the counter to make his selection.
That mechanical nightingale looks intriguing. I believe I'll take it.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this is a pawn shop. I am always willing to take back my own goods in trade.
I'll remember. Thank you. Can you tell me, merchant, what the value of this ring might be?
By the sands of the sea, what a beauty! What fine gold and masterful artistry! This ring is quite valuable, sir. I would not feel right taking it in trade. None of the items on display in my humble store are even close to the value of this ring.
Truly? Well, it would be hard to part with it anyway, I suppose.
Okay. Keep going.
Alexander can...
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
A collection of children's books fill those shelves. There's a small table near the door that bears a sign. The sign has undergone a number of changes. It once read 10 pence, but that was crossed out and replaced with 5 pence, then 1 pence, then free. The sign currently reads, "Take one, please." Only one book remains on the table. It looks like the bookshop owner really wants to get rid of that book. Alexander picks up the book from the small table.
Oh, yes, please, take that book. You have my most humble thanks for doing so, good sir.
Really? Thanks.
A plaque bearing a merchant crest hangs over the doorway. The bookshop owner must be proud of his credentials. A small fire burns in the fireplace despite the warmth of the day outside. Perhaps the bookshop owner simply finds it comforting. A well-padded leather chair, a small table, and a fuzzy rug have been arranged into a cheery reading area near the fire. There's a book entitled The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages on the small table in the reading area. It appears that some regular customer likes that book. Alexander feels his... There's no... Alexander rests his feet for a moment. Alexander picks up and leafs idly through a book called The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages. Well, that was refreshing.
Good day, sir.
The mysterious old man just ignores These shelves hold a collection of oddly titled guidebooks. Alexander notices such books as How to Become King with Little or No Rupees Down, Finding the Right Girl with the Right Dowry, and Why Good Princesses Like Bad Wizards. Alexander is standing in a cozy little shop. Books of every size and shape line the walls. A crackling fire in the fireplace completes the tranquil scene. These shelves hold a collection of oddly titled guidebooks. Alexander notices such books as How to Become King with Little or No Rupees. These shelves hold a collection. Volumes of poetry are on display on this bookshelf. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to leaf through one of the volumes of love poetry. He reads, Thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face, and all thy studied female grace have won for thee anon a place within this broken breast. Not bad. And another. Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by worldly care, where shadow they her earthly bed, oh, that she were not there. Yikes. And another. What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and through, and binds my heart with links so tight I cannot live without the sight of you? What nameless thing has captured me, and made me powerless to flee? What thing is it without a name that brings my mind e'er back the same to thee? The name of love cannot apply. Its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that e'er my soul eternal makes for you.
A little close to home, that one.
Alexander returns the love poem book to the shelf. Alexander picks up the fallen page. It's the love poem he particularly liked. It must have fallen out of the poetry book.
I see that old volume has lost another page. You may keep it if you like, sir. I have glued the stubborn thing back in place 2 times already.
I do rather like it. Thank you, merchant.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate cover is the title, Ye Useful Book of Magic Spells.
How much for that book on the counter, merchant?
It is a fine book, is it not? I obtained it from the estate of the one and only magician this kingdom has ever had. Poofed himself into an aardvark in the end, or so I heard. I never found the spells all that useful myself, but then I lead a boring life. I tell you what, if you can find another rare book, something a bit more marketable, I might be willing to exchange the spell book for it.
The bookshop owner is a thin, middle-aged man. His intelligent eyes are slightly blurry from long nights spent reading by candlelight. An old man occasionally steals sidelong glances at Alexander from under a concealing hood.
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger in this land. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
That is quite a question, young man. Who are you, and what would you have me tell you?
My name is Alexander. I know I'm on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can tell me about this island, and if there are other islands nearby.
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not the customs of the land beneath his feet. This island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. there are at least 3 other islands. The Isle of the Sacred Mountain, the Isle of the Beast, and the Isle of Wonder.
At least 3? Does no one know for certain?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. The land of the Green Isles has always been a place of vague boundaries, as if islands come and go. Legend speaks of a 4th island, an isle shrouded in mists. I myself have never seen it. Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even darker places are reputed to be closer here than anywhere else in the world.
That's quite a claim.
Claim, yes, but probably just local superstition. We who live here on the Isle of the Crown, at least, sleep well enough at night.
Those first 3 islands you mentioned, how might I learn more about them?
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores and learn about them firsthand. Meeting the leaders of each place would be helpful, naturally. Unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There has been much political unrest, and it has been too dangerous to travel for years. Perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has little enough to do these days. And if you haven't been there already, you might seek an audience at the castle.
Thank you kindly, merchant, for all your good advice.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander. Making use of it costs much more.
Alright, I think that's all we can do here.
Alexander.
Hello!
Let's go with the ferry dude.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
Okay. Sure thing.
Good day. I'm Alexander. What are you doing in the sea?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm swimming. I mean, come join me. The water's wonderful. I can show you the way to the next island.
Considering the poor condition of the shore, it looks like the easiest way to get into the water is just to jump off the pier. The powerful currents grab Alexander. Struggle as he might, he feels himself being pulled out to sea.
Not a very good swimmer, are you?
Help me.
Help me!
Sorry, I think not.
Oh, he's so mean.
As his head submerges for the 3rd time, Alexander finds himself pondering the wisdom of going out on a limb for a stranger.
Tickets up. Next.
Alexander couldn't handle those currents. That boy must be an unbelievably strong swimmer. Considering the poor condition of the shore...
Oops. I don't want to do that.
Good day. I'm Alexander.
What does it look like I'm doing? Come on. Come join me. Come join... What are you waiting for? I said I'd show you how to get to the next island, didn't I?
That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water.
Yeah, what do you want?
Alexander promises himself that he will not go home until he... Alexander...
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you. Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside. What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
The lamps chose not to illuminate Alexander. The ferryman seems to be the only one in the cabin to address. Alexander is sitting inside the ferry's cabin. The place displays the neatness of a seaman and the sparseness of a bachelor. There are few frills and comforts in the rough wooden environment, but the sunlight shines cheerily on the oaken beams, and the portholes admit a pleasant breeze. There's a rabbit's foot on the table. It seems the ferryman is counting on a little luck.
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that. Thank you. I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
Huh. It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
A magic map.
Tell me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cassima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cassima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
Ridiculous. There's like 5 islands and there's one boat.
Tell me more about Princess Cassima.
Ah, such a beautiful child. and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around, always thinking about the people. Ah, they are sorely missed.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty. She's the finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next. Of course, that's just silly talk.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot.
Okay, repeating. I'm leaving.
Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all. It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
Let's go talk to the book guy about the map.
Good day again. How may I help you?
Good day, sir. Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flit mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cassima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cassima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Jalo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Cassima's parents, King Calipham and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Cassima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing. Smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Cassima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Cassima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion. Now I'm afraid I must hurry back to the castle. I'll try to return to the bookshop again later.
Thank you for speaking with me, Giallo. I hope we meet again soon.
See you later.
How fare you, merchant?
Well, I would be better if I could only finish my manuscript. I am a budding novelist, you know.
How fare you, merchant?
I have...
Was it the pawn shop guy that has the map? I don't know. I'll talk to him.
Good day.
A mysterious old man also patronizes the pawn shop. He steals sidelong glances at
Good day, sir.
The old man just glares at Alexander and does not reply.
Would you be interested in...
No, leave me alone.
Would you be interested in...
No, leave me alone.
The pawn shop owner doesn't... The pawn shop...
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a magic map of the land of the Green Isles.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It's been gathering dust so long that I nearly forgot about it. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself there. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, no one is interested in traveling these days. It is far too dangerous with the current state of the kingdom.
Nobody wants a
What
magic
would you
map.
take for the map?
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun with prospective buyers, I would be willing to take anything of equal value in exchange.
You have to give him the ring. And he'll give it to you, but I'm going to go visit the castle first. Because the castle guards like the ring.
Alexander doesn't want to disturb the old tree.
Excuse me, guardsmen, guard dogs. I've been traveling for months to see Princess Cassima. I would like an audience, please.
I'm sorry, but the princess is not receiving visitors, particularly not strangers.
Alexander's ring is... Alexander decides to show his royal insignia ring to the Castle of the Crown Guards. With all of his papers lost in the shipwreck, it is the only possible calling card he can think of.
Good day. I'm Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm an acquaintance of Princess Cassima. If you could just inform her that I'm here, please.
So everyone says. Let me just look at that ring.
What does it say, Gruff?
Kingdom of Daventry, Prince Alexander. Wait here while I go see what Captain Saladin thinks of this.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain Saladin speaks with a voice that is gentle, but reflects a will of iron.
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazred will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please, follow me.
He's unfamiliar with me? Like, I'm the one that rescued the princess not too long ago. Ridiculous.
Lord Alhazred, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince
Let's go
Alexander?
sort out.
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, things have greatly changed for Cassima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle. Cassima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cassima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cassima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cassima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cassima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, it would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cassima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity to look around your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The kingdom is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you'll respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate, and they nod with understanding. Alexander has a feeling they won't be letting him into the castle again.
Bastards. There's nothing over here.
Alexander feels his pockets carefully. Alexander examines the large pot. It's currently empty, but a few scraps in the bottom indicate that it is used as a dump site on occasion.
Good day.
Would you be willing to take my family ring in exchange for the magic map?
Daventry, are you a king then?
No, that's my father, King Graham. I'm just Alexander.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring. Are you sure you can part with such a unique family heirloom?
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
Then you now own a magic map, Prince Alex. I will keep your ring out of sight for a few days. If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back for your ring. I would hate to see it melted down for gold. Ah, and a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has something to do with the teleport spell ingredients. You might try the beach.
Thank you. You are very kind. And I'll remember about the map.
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
Seconds later in the castle.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished. From the pawn shop owner, he just abstained, just reprieved. He just got a magic map.
You fool! You've been eating those mints again! I ordered you to stop that!
Yes, Master.
Now, what is this about a magic map?
With the map, Prince Alexander can travel anywhere as quickly as I can.
I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my scimitar, I can't have him stirring things up now. Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir. Go to the other islands and tell them...
That was the genie. Pawn shop dude should dump out something pretty soon. There he goes.
Alexander sorts through the odds and ends that the pawn shop owner dumped into the pot. Magic exploding gum wrappers, a shattered crystal ball, A cracked wand. A fake thumb. Near the bottom, Alexander finds a little glass bottle labeled ink. It appears to be empty, but Alexander decides to take it anyway. You never know when a small bottle will come in handy.
Alright. I think we're mostly done with this island as far as I know, at least for now. Go back to the beach. Actually, wait, there's the bird. Let's see, what do I have to give to her? Yeah, I think I can give this bird some things, maybe.
Alexander winds the mechanical nightingale and places it on the ground. The mechanical nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad.
Alright, so she's at a lower branch, so I don't think I need the nightingale anymore.
Good day.
The counter. Alexander takes a...
Let's see, it's a tinderbox.
Might I trade for that flute on the counter?
Certainly. What do you wish to offer me in trade?
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I'll take the flute.
The flute?
Thank you.
You can give this bird some stuff, but I don't got that stuff yet. Alright, I think that's a good stopping point for the episode. Made some good progress. Next time we'll use the magic map and explore the other islands. Let's save the game before we die. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.